Welcome back to our Canaries Walk Super Subs, Super Schwartau, and we've got our Norwich City back. How you're doing? Welcome back to 20 more minutes of Norwich City chat. Beating Blackburn at the weekend is our main focus this weekend, but we finally got a manager who can make decent substitutions. How you're doing? Got James, Matty, Tom, and Cillian with us as well, and we start this week with this particular tweet. Love this from Cole. Thank you. We've just had to follow the Coventry result up with this result. We finally got our Norwich back. Yeah, no danger of relegation, or is there? We'll get how certain these four are that Norwich are going to beat the drop. Great to have your company with us. If you've only just found the channel, 20 minutes of Norwich City chat. There's a longer podcast you listen to, but this is very compact, very in your face. So let's kick it straight off then, James. Also this week we're talking about who's the first Norwich City player you fell in love with, given it was Valentine's Day this weekend, and our A to Z rolls on to letter O. Right, James. A manager who can make good substitutions and affect games. There's not many of them around, is
there? Certainly not in Norwich history for a long time. No, I mean, again, the Clement's experience. We saw it with subs against QPR, Wrexham away. He's not afraid to make double subs at half-time like West Brom. It was a pretty dull affair, I think, for the first 60, 65 minutes. It was crying out for creativity going forward. I thought Spring it was poor. Crying out for Schwartau, on he comes, and brilliance once again. Similar to that West Brom effort. Listen, 3 points. It was a must-win. However, I think Matty sent in a group chat, he'll take a scrappy 1-0 before the game. I think that's all that mattered. Just getting 3 points. They're awful. If I was a Blackburn fan, I'd be worried. Listen, things are good. Can't complain. Good start to what is a very important month for us.
Yeah. And Matty, do you understand why people are saying we've got our Norwich back? Because, I think back in September, that would have put in a 1-0 Blackburn win, wouldn't it?
Exactly what Tom said to me earlier this afternoon, actually. 3 months ago, would have lost that 1-0. So, 100%. And I think it's interesting that you touch on the manager and the impact that he has, not just in terms of how we start games and how we look in first half of games, but then the subs that he makes in the second half performances that we put in. So, it's really nice. It's refreshing to have faith that we're going to win those kind of games. I wasn't, overly confident about that 60 units in because it was a bit dull, as Hastings has said. But in general, just what we needed. Didn't matter if we went in off someone's backside. I know both goals were a bit jammy, but didn't matter. 3 points was 3 points and a great sort of bounce back after last weekend.
Brilliant. And of course, it has risen a quiz question this week. So here we go for it. Mohamed Toure was the first player to come off the bench and score on his Norwich City debut since who? Answers to that at the end of the video. Who was the last player to come off the bench and score on their league debut? We'll get the panel's view. I don't know if you got any of that. Right, Cillian, here's one which might put a fly in the ointment to all this celebratory mood on here. Pessimistic NCFC fan says, well, people may laud the manager for the inspired subs, but for me, it was a massive mistake starting Springer again. There's no comparison between him and Oscar. We certainly got away with one today. We also missed Maatsen too. Do you agree, Cillian?
Well, I agree with the name of the person who posted that, Jeff. The proper name, all right. Springer didn't have a great game, but in fairness, he was dropped in at the last minute when Diallo got injured and during the warm-up. So he wasn't part of the starting lineup. He was on the bench. I think Schwartau is, we have to watch his minutes. We forget how young he is. He's made a big impact when he's come on. But I think there is going to be squad rotation. So, I think every player in that squad is important. But some of the players who haven't played recently that need to be able to step in if we need them. Like we seem to be still suffering the injury bogey, which is going to test us a little bit. So every player, including Springer, need to be able to slot into that squad. So, I think he's maybe not our greatest player, but he's definitely got a heart.
Yeah. I was going to say, you caveat that with, he chucked in Schwartau from the start, and we don't win the game because he's burnt out after 60 minutes, and then has to bring Springer on. Yeah. So I appreciate that. As you said, Cillian, the giveaway is in the username, but bloody hell, we won the game.
But he's also been playing Schwartau as a 10 as well. So if he throws Schwartau instead of Springer on the wing, then that's not where he's been playing well recently. So that's someone who's not looked at our recent. Yeah. Anyway, what an idiot.
Yeah, it's probably a case. Spring is probably the least disrupted.
One of the big changes that we've seen, I think, with Clement is that we've really transformed our second half performances.
Yeah.
Look in the first half of the season, like every time we just fell apart after halftime, and sometimes literally seconds after halftime. We just didn't have the stamina, and Clement obviously identified fitness as an issue. We're finishing games strong, and that was really evident yesterday.
Yeah. Let's talk about another player, shall we? Thanks, Tom. Take this one for us. Solid debut for Sam. And he boycott USA says looks way more positive than Wright. Who'd have thought we'd be saying that? Do you agree?
No, I think they're two very different players, right? I was really impressed with Sam Field when he came on, because when I was watching and in commentary, Elliot Bennett said, Kelly McLean needs to get on the ball, he needs to drive forward, and needs to make things happen, and he does. But to do that, he needs to have the right level of support behind him, and I don't think Jacob Wright is that sort of sitting, holding midfielder that is then going to sort of snap at the ankles to break it back up again if we lose the ball. So when Field came on, coupled with Oscar and Mo Toure coming on, I think actually what it allowed Kenny to do was to get forward and do what we know Kenny can do and be a bit more creative. And he was really solid. There was a few sort of skeptic comments about us signing him, but ultimately he's got over 200 appearances in the Championship. He was QPR's captain. For one reason or another, fell out of favour, and actually I think it's a really astute signing from us, because it is someone that you can throw in the middle who's going to break things up. He's physical, and I think it was a perfect debut for him off the bench.
Good. You mentioned Mo there, James. How impressed were you with his cameo and his well taken goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, we only saw 25 minutes or so. He didn't get much service, so it's obviously a very small glimpse, but got himself around, was physical. Different option to Makama as such, I'd say. I think he's going to be a bit more of a target man and a bit more of a bully as such. But no, listen, we needed a second striker, obviously, with the whole Sargent debacle. Obviously, Chris Garden's been the second choice striker. Is he a striker? Is he number 10 type thing? But no, looks good. And again, squad rotation, obviously, with midweek, West Brom, and then another 3 games in 7 days coming up. So no, solid. Sam Field, again, as Tom said, solid sort of start. We need these players to get through the month, but I don't think anyone can really complain too much, can they, about yesterday?
Yep. A couple did, but not many. Not many.
He's back again.
He's back again here, Matty. If I was looking at Oscar, Stacey, Kisgard, and Springer, I think I would be picking my right-hand side replacement in that order. Has this one got legs?
They're all very different players, aren't they? Oscar's best position's in the middle. Chris Garden's best position's in the middle. Stacey's best position's right
back.
And then Springett will play anyway. He started as a left back. So, I'd like to know where pessimistic NCFC is watching our games. But,
through his fingers behind the sofa.
So, no, I'm going to say, in answer to your question, Mark, no, it hasn't got legs.
Okay. Right, Matty, this one definitely comes to you then. Charlie says 11 points on the cloud.
Come on then, get your Wembley hotels booked, boys.
Yeah, joking aside, the league is that poor that it's not out of the question, is it? Let's be frank, Matty. Let's be with the way you're playing as well.
Well, no, I texted Chambers earlier. I was like, mate, it is possible. I'm just going to look at the table. Hang on, because I got this here. We're on 36. Wrexham are on 47. Don't tell me that 6th place is not possible. It's absolutely possible. However,
I'm going to tell you it's not possible.
However, we're still not out with the relegation scrap. So whilst I think that we're safe, all it would take is a couple of really, we've already had a couple of injuries with Matson and Makama going off, which is, based on the murmurings that we've heard from the club. Not from the club, but from within inside the club, it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't play for the rest of the season. So it's one of them where if that's our injury crisis, as it were, or bad injuries over for the rest of the season, I think we'll be okay. But if it was to be a Kenny or a Fisher or someone else to get injured in this next month of February, as Hastings has said about how key it is, then we're not properly out of the relegation scrap.
And let's not forget Diallo got another injury. How good have we seen that? Ali Ahmad and Diallo on the wings. We've had a bit of luck. Now we've seems to go back to Norwich.
Yeah. That said, Mark will still finish 6th. Yeah.
We're recording this ahead of Tuesday night's massive game at Oxford, Cillian, of course. This is not just a 6-pointer; it's almost like a 9-pointer, isn't it? Beat Oxford, and can you call yourself safe then?
I think if we beat Oxford, I think we'd be 11 points ahead of them. Never mind 11 points from playoffs. So I think it is a huge game because obviously they closed the gap 5 to us. But I would think if we do beat them, and again it's an if. I think 11 points would be too much for them to make up. And Sheffield Wednesday are clearly gone. So there's only one other team that there's a couple of them definitely vying for those bottom 3 places.
Yeah. The Leicester City news, of course, Tom, would have pleased you as well this week, I'm sure, as well, wouldn't it? I mean, Blackburn are awful. Pompey are starting to improve, but West Brom are absolutely tragic. So there's definitely at least 2 teams there, Tom, that are going to have to scrap it out. Norwich aren't one of them, are they?
Yeah, no, I think it's well, we've said it before, it's about momentum, isn't it? And I think this month really is key, injuries and everything. When we look at it, we've just got to keep momentum. I think the problem is that in games where we're expected to win, or we as fans expect us to win, it just sort of, I don't know, we just sort of just about get there. I mean, yesterday was an absolute shower of performance. Do you know what I mean? For 70 minutes, we sat there going, this could go either way. Blackburn were not any good, but nor were we. And obviously, it was a dour day. It was raining. The ground was quiet. It was one of those games that, like we said, we would have lost previously. I think for me, don't go. Just try to avoid defeat at Oxford. Yes, it would be lovely to go and beat them, and obviously put a real gap there. But I think for me, momentum throughout the next month is going to be so important. And also, I think that includes West Brom in the Cup, because it's a funny old thing, isn't it? I was thinking about it the other day, that if they beat us in the Cup and they get a little bit of confidence back in the side, and all of a sudden it gives them a shot in the arm and they start to come back up the league. So I think we're good enough to stay up. I think we're good enough to be sitting pretty in 12th by the time sort of April comes, and we're absolutely fine, or 6th, as Matty says. I think there are 2 worse teams than us. I think Pompey will be fine. I think West Brom, and for me, it's West Brom or Blackburn. Your question was about Leicester. Yeah, I mean, they're also awful. Their fans are not happy. They're a disgruntled club. I mean, they couldn't go down, could they? They could, but they, I think again, we sat here 6 months ago and said no one's too big to go down. And Leicester's name were in that when they, came back out of League One. So, yeah, I think momentum for us, as I haven't already said it, is going to be absolutely massive in the next 4 weeks.
I also just on that, I also think it's on expectation. That's why I think I'd rather be, say, a Pompey or Oxford, because you're going to be in and around there. With your West Broms, with your Leicesters, no one expects them to be down there. Actually, the toxic atmosphere is going to be a lot worse. The fans aren't going to be getting behind the players in these tougher games, unlike, say, your Oxfords, etc. So, I mean, I'd quite like to see a West Brom or Leicester go down personally, shake it up a little bit.
Not West Brom though. We can't lose the vine. Can't lose the vine from an away.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Blackburn can go. Not even Blackburn fans want to go to Blackburn. They can go.
No, that's true. Blackburn can.
Any of you managed to solve our quiz question we had before? We asked, of course, Toure was the first player to come off the bench and score his Norwich City debut 25 years ago, 2001 is the answer.
I know the answer, so I'm not going to answer, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, go on then. Tell us.
No, leave it to the floor. Come on. It was okay, right. It was a loanee.
Yeah.
And he was Danish. Who was it?
I was 2 years old, so I have no idea.
Went on to sign a permanent deal and flopped from there.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, it's Slimani, the syndrome Slimani had. Oh, I've forgotten his name.
David Nielsen.
Oh,
David Nielsen. That's it.
We should do more of this. Fun. It's fun watching you.
Watching me suffer.
trying to watch the boring on a Sunday evening.
Since we last spoke to you last week, there was transfer window has, of course, slammed shut. So it's time to get your kind of appraisal of how the club did overall. Just a quick one, Tom, on the Sargent one before I get others' opinions. You put a poll out, didn't you, as to with the injury to where we are up front, would you bring Sargent into the fold? How did that go on your socials?
Interesting. So I think we had some 800 responses. 72.5% or 73% said no, and a lot of other comments of words to that effect. So I think we spoke last week about what would it look like, or what would it need to look like for Sargent to come back in, and would we welcome him back in? I think that's your answer from Norwich fans.
Yeah. Does anyone here feel sorry for him? I mean, he's obviously affected. It's massively screwed his own summer up here, hasn't he?
Well, I was one of the people who voted yes in your poll, Tom. So, to be honest, it's the business. It's football. I would hate to see us not proceed or not do well, and have arguably one of the best strikers in the championship sitting playing with the under-21s, or not even playing with them, training with them.
That was my mistake, yeah.
I get there's a big issue that's happened, but with Clement out now, I mean, if we started losing games, would fans seriously not want Sargent to have a go?
My take on that was if he came out and publicly apologised and said, "Listen, I got it wrong." But I kind of think, and especially with that percentage that Tom says, I kind of think that Norwich fans, I think Tom said this a couple of weeks ago, like, can be quite unforgiving on that kind of thing. And I think there's probably that majority of them might just think, nah, balls to you. For me, everyone makes mistakes, give everyone a second chance. And he served the club well so far. Don't like how we went about it, of course, but I just think if we needed him, to Cillian's point, imagine if we needed to stay up, right? And we needed a number 9, and Chris Garham's not scoring, and Toure's not on a run or whatever, and then McCarthy's out for the rest of the season.
I think what's probably not helped is the fact that since it's happened, we've been on a really good run. It's almost like, well, we don't need him. He's made a mistake. Yeah. We've not needed him. Yeah. And actually, I'm sort of on the fence. I think no Norwich fan will blame the reason why he wants to move. No one can blame the fact he wants to go back to America with his family and all that. It's the way he's gone about it. Now, has he been poorly advised by an agent? Probably. But also he's, 24, 25 years old? He can speak up for himself. I personally wouldn't have him back. I think we don't need him. I think he's clearly a slight bad egg. I think when we're in a battle, you need everyone in it. Is he in it for the right reason if he did come back? I don't think so, personally.
Okay. Right. Cillian, 1 to 10 then, please. How did the club do in the transfer window in January for you?
I think pretty well. I think there was a couple of last-minute choices which were injury-driven. And so I think the window may not have panned out as we hoped. And there was obviously a Champions League performance that Clement alluded to, which clearly scuppered our primary goal, our objective. So I think, Ali Ahmed, I think, has been superb. Maybe he's not his best game yesterday, but he's been a real eye-opener. So I think I'd give us an 8 out of 10 for what the January window is.
Would any of the rest of the three of you go higher than an 8?
Probably say a 7, personally.
Okay.
I'm going to be contrary.
Are you sure you're not pessimistic, Norwich fans? Yeah.
I think no. Yeah, listen, I think 7. It's a pretty good window. I think could we maybe sign one more? I think we missed out maybe one good quality signing potentially, and also I'd like to have seen someone like Liam Gibbs maybe go out on loan for his own personal progression. That's the only thing I'd say.
I think he was meant to. I think there was interest in Scotland, and then I think the whole Sam Field thing. I mean, in one of Sam Field's interviews, he said that he had something like 15 seconds to spare to get the deal sheet in. So obviously the club were not certain of that deal coming. So if had Liam Gibbs had gone out the door, I mean, he tries hard, but I don't think he's the quality that we need. But he's not the quality that we need. But had he have gone out the door and left us really exposed without anyone coming in, then
as Cillian said, it was injury affected. I think it's fair to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brill, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, it's Valentine's Day this weekend when we play West Brom in the Cup. So we're also asking this week, who was the first Norwich player that you ever fell in love with when you started following the club at a young age? Cillian, if we can start with you on this, do you remember the first player which you just became obsessed with?
I do, and it's the reason I started following Norwich. That was Mick Channon. That's the reason that I support Norwich to this day, because when he finally decided to go to Portsmouth, I decided I had enough, I'd stick with Norwich. But I had supported, when I was a young child, supported Southampton and Man City beforehand, where he played. So definitely that was my reason.
Yeah, once Norwich touched you, nothing's the same, is it? There. Yeah,
Still talking about Valentine's, or?
What about for you, Matty?
I was thinking about loan players actually earlier.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone never really getting over Oliver Skip, because we never replaced him. Went back down, and years later, I'm still with Norwich fans. We never replaced Oliver Skip. I think as a younger kid, it was Darren Eady. When I was proper small. And yeah, Hooks was one of them as well for me. Watching him tear up and down the left hand side was just one of them players that you just think, he's different gravy.
Okay. Tom?
I was going to say Edie because he was on the back of my first ever kit, and then they sold him to Leicester the week later. That hurt. But I'd probably go with Ewan Roberts because he just his toothless grin, scoring backwards headers at home to Preston in the late 90s. I don't know when it was, but yeah, I think that team that, we were not any good at that point. We didn't really have any expectations. The old South Stand at Carrow Road, and Ewan Roberts, I think, would probably take that one for me.
James?
Grant Holt will always be my first proper love with Norwich. I know. Obviously, I'm not just Mr. Pessimistic on Twitter. Grant Holt, Speeches League One, Championship, Derby, Patrick, brilliant in the Prem. I was sort of 8-9 years old going through that. So Grant Holt.
That being said, I have named my dog after Wes Houlihan, so it could be Wes. But I think overall love, long-term love, I think it's got to be Wes. But first love, Okay.
Let us know in the comments then, who is your first love for you fell in love with Norwich City this week then?
How called Houlihan in the world, is it?
The A to Z continues finally this week. We're up to the letter O in our countdown. We have allowed them to have overhead kicks this week. Who's got the best one here? Shout it out.
There's a few, isn't there?
Cameron Jerome's overhead kick against Palace that got ruled out by Simon Hooper.
Never forgiven him for that. I'm not going with an overhead kick. I'm going with Nelson Oliviera. Not because he's my favourite Norwich player by any stretch, but because he was stamped on by Tyrone Mings at Ipswich, and then in a horrific challenge, and then scored against them, and then celebrated in front of the Ipswich fans. And I kind of liked him when he played for us, apart from that celebration in front of Farker against Fulham. But Oliviera for me.
Gary O'Neill for myself. I think you just, when you got a headband in the middle of the park in what was a dogged season for us. O'Neill probably for me.
I was waiting to say O'Neill, given how much I loved him to want to be our new manager.
Good band. Biasing.
Cillian, was yours an Irish connection?
I'm going to go with Keith O'Neill.
Double O'Neill.
We could have had Martin O'Neill as well.
Okay. Who do you choose out of this one then, please?
I would just go a completely different direction and not a player, but the oldest football song in the world is On the Ball City.
Excellent.
Smart.
That's good.
You missed that.
Well done, Tom.
Actually, that's got to go in, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have that.
Okay. Good. You could have said that 5 minutes ago. Right?
Oh, yeah, we had to go around. We had to go around and let it go there first.
Right. Cheers for that. Letter P next week they get on to. Plus, we're also going to be reviewing how they've got on this in the midweek game this week at Oxford, and of course the West Brom game, the FA Cup as well on Saturday. Enjoy both if you can, and we'll see you back here in 7 days. Thank you so much for your company. Great to have you with us yet again. Press the subscribe button before you go. That'd be amazing. Lots of love to you on Valentine's weekend. Come on, the Norwich.